All right, welcome to Dorks on Sports podcast about four dorks talking about sports. My name is Daniel, and joining me as always are these three other beautiful faces. We had a nice little meeting right before we started this podcast, break a little bread, get to know each other, open up those lines of communication, and I don't know, I feel closer to the three of you cats. I love you. I mean, I know we all knew each other previously before this, but not in like intimate ways. And I just feel myself getting closer to each of you. And I wanted to share my appreciation for that. So,
well, thank you.
I love you. I love you, Curtis. And I love the Seahawks because they just won.
Yes.
We might have only won like 4 games, but life is good.
Well, it wasn't just a win. I mean, we beat the 49ers.
Yeah. Like, come on. So, like, on the scale of like your Seahawks emotional state, where would you say you're at now?
Emotionally, I think I'm at about 9 3/4. On the positive. Yeah.
Out of what? On a scale of
we got another year under our belt where we can say we swept the 49ers. You know, I don't know if we're
not making the playoffs, at least we can say that. In fact, I was just reading a statistic that since Russell Wilson joined the team, our overall record against the 49ers is 17-3, which is just
17
just feels good. 3
yeah, I think it's
20 meetings,
16
we've won 17.
Isn't it like 16-4 in the regular season, but like 17-4 if you include the NFC Conference Championship game?
No, I think we've only lost against the 49ers 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. That statistic I read was only for the regular season. If you included that conference championship, it would be
they have only beat us 3 times since
in the Russell Wilson
in a decade.
10 years. That is astounding.
That's bonkers. No wonder they hate us.
Oh my God. Which just makes you enjoy these beatdowns even more when they happen.
If you're a 49ers fan, just turn this podcast off right now. This is not the episode for you.
Jimmy G isn't going to come save you.
Right.
But I really like your offensive and defensive lines down there. I wish we had them up here.
I know. Yeah. Oh, tell me about it. Yeah. Alana, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's been kind of a rough week, parenting and working, but I'm doing all right.
Yeah. You know, parenting and working, like,
yeah,
I know. I get you. That's the thing that just gets in the way of everything, of life.
Right.
Don't even.
Well, I don't want to say it gets in the way because, like, my kid's fucking amazing.
The kid is great. The work is
right.
Not. The work gets in the way of the parenting, really.
That's fair. I also love my job. It's just like there have been some circumstances at work that have been a little bit like unexpected and hard. Like, you know, someone. Well, I don't want to go into that, but I just want to say Travis Homer. I've got a bit of a crush right now on Travis Homer. Not only does he have fantastic hair, but he can fake a punt for 73 yards and a touchdown, and then play some awesome special teams.
The one thing I love about a football team that has nothing left to lose, like when they're not going to the playoffs and they just got nothing left. They can just throw out. They play these kitchen sink games where they could just throw out the weird ass like trick plays. I love that in the Seahawks, and some of them don't work. I don't care. You know, like fucking go for it.
Right.
Because when they do, it's really fun to watch.
Right. I just want to say that Travis Homer looks like he is in the middle of being tased. That's what his hair looks like, and I love it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I love that for it. Millie, how are you doing over there?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Ask me about my fantasy team.
How's your fantasy team doing?
Please do that with more like sex appeal there, Dan. Just like pour it on.
Well, here's where it's really going to surprise you.
Yeah.
I lost.
No.
I did. And Hubert got me, and I'll tell you how.
Just like the Seahawks.
I lost by 1.46.
Whoosh.
Come on.
Whoosh.
So, but I was supposed to win by quite a bit. And here's the hubris piece. So I'm looking at my flex position and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I've never played Kenny Galladay. I'll put him in. And the Hubs looks at me and he says, you got Tyler Boyd. You should put in Tyler Boyd. I'm like, I don't know. Bengals, hems and hawed. And I said, you know what? Just going with my gut. I'll just leave him in there. Galladay. It's going to be fine because I'm supposed to win by 20 something points. Oh my goodness. That one hurt, but I'm still in first place. So, I'm getting over it quickly. I did lose my other league where I now just laugh at myself each week. I've never had such a laugh team. I could throw a dart at a board and it would not affect the outcome kind of a team, especially because don't ask me how it happened, but there are a bunch of Dallas players on it. And so I was screwed from Thursday on that. Thank you for giving me time to talk about my fantasy team. And other than that, I'm doing pretty well. Thanks.
Good. No, that's good to hear. Let's jump into the Seahawks because this was a fun game to watch after a long string of not so fun games to watch. The offense came out and scored some points, which was really good. That was super fun. Russell Wilson was playing with some magic that we kind of hadn't seen in a few weeks. He was finally making those like Russell Wilson X Factor game changing plays.
Yeah.
Those weird like escape and, throw the ball and get some weird catches. And we probably would have ran up the score even more if Gerald Everett had had a better game.
Mm-hmm.
So bizarre.
Woof. I do feel real bad.
Gerald Everett, if you're listening to this podcast, you should turn it off right now too.
But also, hi, buddy.
If Gerald Everett is listening to this, I want him to know that I am like so in his corner as a fan.
Yeah,
he had been like the model of consistency for the offense in this bad stretch. And then the game they win, he just loads his drawers.
2 turnovers in the red zone is just everybody has a bad game. And even the great Tom Brady and Peyton Manning have thrown multiple picks in a game. Like it's, he'll be fine.
Mr. Everett, if you're listening to this, what I want you to know is that clearly George Kittle has some insecurity issues and had a curse put on you. And that's
that's a strong point. The 49ers might have like sacrificed a goat in that locker room, put a curse on
but it didn't work because we won.
Does George Kittle have teeth? I can't tell.
Do you know that he is I get all my glasses from Zenni Optical, and he has a line through Zenni Optical with his wife and really wants to be like a known for his fashion and glasses. I find it very weird because they are not attractive.
I love Kittle. I think he's a great personality and he's a baller. And I hate him because he plays for the 49ers. So I am obligated to hate him. But if he were to come over to the Seahawks, I would be buying his jersey.
Rumor has it Seattle really wanted him in that.
I know. I know.
And then
I didn't
slipped right in and took him.
I thought Schneider wanted him earlier than where the Niners went, and Carroll poo-pooed it. Is what I heard.
But shocked me at all.
Carroll. Speaking of Carroll, I thought the Seahawks really played for him, and all through the season, I have questioned whether this team had maybe given up on Pete Carroll. And I am going to say without a shadow of a doubt that is not true, that this man has the locker room, and you could hear it in all of those players' voices in their post-game pressers after the game. And there was a story that on Saturday, Pete Carroll asked the locker room, he asked everybody to tell their why they play the game. And that is what prompted Millie's Pocket Lockett to stand up and give a fiery emotional speech that kind of fired everybody up.
You mean my Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate, Pocket Lockett, Tyler
That's
Lockett?
right.
He's my favorite guy. Yeah, him.
That's it. And he had a great game.
He had such a beautiful touchdown.
He had a great touchdown. I want to ask you, Millie, because this offense to me looked a lot different than it has over the past few weeks. What did you see differently?
What I saw on the offense, I'm going to talk about the offense, was Russell Wilson I haven't seen since the beginning of last season, which is this focus. When a play doesn't go off, it's move on, live in the present. There's no like, sort of moment. There's no frustration with everyone around him. He's not throwing energy out. He's just staying right there. And when he plays that way is when I see him do well. And we talked about up-tempo before. And for me, what I saw was up-tempo play without rushing it.
Right.
And that to me is what I mean when I talk about like they're playing too fast as opposed to up tempo. It doesn't allow the defense to rest should they end up, unfortunately, in a 3 and out. And the communication clearly wasn't working. Nobody felt comfortable. Everything just felt rushed. And this game didn't feel rushed. It felt confident. It felt focused. And when something didn't go right, it didn't feel like there was this energy wave where people just didn't want to take responsibility for what went wrong.
I like that. I think that is a great observation. When you say that it didn't feel rushed, when they're up tempo, it did feel, there were times that it felt rushed. And in this game, even when they went up tempo, it was fast but patient.
Yeah.
Right? Like it felt like the Seahawks at times was controlling the pace of the game, which is something that we haven't seen in weeks. I think since Geno Smith, won that game against the Saints, which
Jacksonville
Jacksonville. Excuse me.
Sorry.
No, thank you. Which leads me to I want to ask you, Alana. I hate asking this question, but this game that Russell Wilson just played is the week that the doctors were kind of giving as the week that he was going to come back from his injury. And I know that there have been questions of, did he come back too early? Was he still hurt? Is that why? What do you think? Do you think that the Seahawks would have had a better chance with Geno Smith playing and Russell Wilson taking over this time? Do you think he came back too early?
So first off, I'm going to ask Millie to shift one direction or the other so I can see the middle column on the schedule. Awesome. So I think that I think Russell coming back for Green Bay is what he needed to do. I think that game for him was meaningful. And I think that it's hard. I think that if him coming back for that game means that he stays in Seattle in 2022-23, then I don't care what happens in that game.
Sure.
And I think that may have been the stakes. I think what we're seeing right now is a Russ that is fully invested in Seattle. Yes. And it's because when he said, when I'm ready to come back, can I come back? And the team said yes. And he said he was ready to come back, so he came back. So I think looking at the politic of that, I think is really important. And I think it's easy to undersell the importance of that. Going into Green Bay and it's a shame that we lost all 3 games. I don't think that Geno Smith wins the Green Bay game, even though the defense played outstanding. I think Geno Smith has a chance in the Cardinals game, but I still don't think he wins that. And I don't think you tell Russell Wilson not to come back for the Washington football team game. So while, yes, this is where, and the other thing is they never said 8 weeks. They said 4 to 8 weeks.
Totally.
And like we got focused on this idea that it should have been an 8-week injury. but like, it's a 4 to 8 week injury. He came back at 4 weeks. That doesn't necessarily make him like a miracle healer, even though he calls himself that. So I think, right. I think it's possible that we lost one additional game to him coming back early, but I think it's also possible that we gained 16 to 48 games with him by letting him come back on his own terms. And I think that that's valuable. And I think that, he looked good. I think that it was in his head. I think he needed to get back into playing shape.
Yeah.
3 games.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think Russell Wilson's never been challenged as emotionally as he has been this season.
Absolutely. And the fact that we just swept San Francisco has meaning. The fact that Tyler Lockett is now doing those impassioned things in the locker room, that has meaning. The fact that the defense is buying in and playing like the defense that it should be playing, like they should be playing that good. They've got that level of talent. That all has meaning. And so he's building and continuing to foster roots here in a way that, like, could we see a Pete Carroll? Will we see Pete Carroll, John Schneider, and Russell Wilson back next year? I want that, and I wanted that all season. So if that's what it takes to get there, maybe with some rearrangement of how they do things, like Schneider is now the GM and Carroll is just the coach. Like, if that's what we end up with Wilson running the team, like, that's what I want. That to me is the dream scenario.
I think that's the way it works out for all three of them. I think the big issue is getting Carroll to, get his fingers out of, a lot of the front office decision making.
Which, there have been reports that Jody Allen is involved. There's been a question that's been the question the whole time since her brother died and she took over, is what is going to be her involvement? Is she going to care? And it sounds like she does, and she is involved and is not happy with the losing season. And I can totally see a scenario in which after the season, she has a come to Jesus moment with the leadership of this team to really figure it out.
Yeah. I think she's much closer to how her brother was than people are giving her credit. I think people have been sort of underselling her unnecessarily. Paul was a total reclusive.
Yeah.
And you never saw him hardly at all.
No, he got game reports, but he trusted the CEO to, manage the team. And when he needed to step in, he did. Yeah, I also read something. I don't know how apocryphal this is, but I read that Jody was the one who convinced him to buy the Seahawks, which I thought was very.
His real passion is the Blazers.
Yeah,
right, or was the Blazers?
It was. Blazers was his first love.
Yeah. He bought the Seahawks to keep him in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a case to be made with Russell Wilson coming back. I don't know if he came back too early. I don't know if he was still hurt in Green Bay. I'm sure he was still healing. I also think there's a case to be made that it took 3 games to learn how to throw with a bum finger. He was making incredible. Not only the throws, I want to say his decision making in that game was better than I've seen the past few games. He's hitting that underneath stuff. I mean, that it was unfortunate that Everett bobbled the ball for a pick, but that little slant that was going to be a sure ass touchdown, like that's the kind of stuff that he was missing in those 3 games, and they were being drawn up by Shane Waldron. He just wasn't seeing it, or he wasn't making the decision to go there. And it looks like he's buying into that offense a little bit more. And I love to see that. So I don't know. Go Hawks. That was a really fun game. Let's move on to the predictions because I want to hear how I did, Millie.
All right. Well, congratulations to Dan, who was the only one who believed.
Oh, no.
I mean, you said it was 20-18, but other than that.
Hey,
you were the only one who got the win for sure. Congratulations. We should all be better Seahawk fans. Nah. Anyway, moving
just gotta
on.
believe. I like Ted Lasso.
Sure. Yeah. Guess what? We get the Texans now.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun game.
David Mills.
Yep.
Is it going to be Mills playing?
It's going to be Tyrod Taylor's wrist is fucked.
Yeah, they still haven't formally announced if he's going with Mills, but that's the expectation.
Yeah, after Detroit finally won their first game, I think I could confidently say that the Texans are the worst team in the league right now.
What a glorious win that was.
I was sort of looking at where their offense and defense is ranked, and it's pretty bad. Their offense is abysmal.
Yeah, it'll be a great game for the Seahawks to build on what they did against the 49ers. Yeah. I don't, Curtis, what do you think? What's the score?
Well, I think that their offense is last in the league of scoring points, and Seattle's defense has been turning around pretty good. And their defense isn't that much better than their offense, and they are worst in the league at running the ball. So I actually think that while Carroll coach was more willing to come out with a more aggressive game plan against San Francisco and a must winner for him, I think he might dial things back into more of his conservative mode of trying to just drain clock. So I'm actually going to say, even though they're worst in the league in defensive scoring, I think Seattle's going to score maybe like 24, 27 points and hold them down to probably like about 13 points.
Oh, that was
I'm going to say a safe 24-13.
27 to 13 was
24
was going to be mine.
Was
So,
gonna be
that was going to be mine.
I'm gonna go
I agree. I think the defense is going to have no problem against this offense. And I think, I actually think Carroll's going to let Waldron open up the book a little bit and step on the gas because I think that's what this team needs.
Yeah,
frankly, and you got nothing left to lose. So why not just, hang it on them? What do you think, Alana?
I think that December is when Russell Wilson truly shines as a quarterback. That's later in the season, he gets on these obscene runs.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a game where we get to stretch our legs a little bit because I think that there's a safety net there in a weird way. Like, we're playing one of the worst teams in the league, so we could, try to make this offense look like it was supposed to look at the start of the year. I think it's 31-0.
I love your moxie.
I want just a full-throated shutout in Texas.
Awesome.
It would be great.
I'm here for it.
And as a gear up for the Rams the next week,
that's true.
Take all the wheels off, stretch those legs, be the person on the Southwest Airlines flight that takes off their shoes and socks and puts them over the seat in front of you.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
I want Quandre to get a pick 6. He deserves it. That dude has been balling. Millie, what's your prediction?
Real quick, Dan. So are you saying 27-13?
Yeah.
Okay. I am with Alana on this. I think, as you all know, I watch a lot of other games, and Houston's real bad.
They're bad.
Real bad. And they don't even have Tyrod, who, has had a couple of really good looking games. So I'm going 27-3.
Nice.
I love it. I just love it that Dan and Curtis are in this exact same realm with one another, and then you and I are out on this other ledge.
That Mills kid had earlier in the season, he had a 300-yard game with 3 touchdowns or something like that. There was one game, maybe it was the outlier of their season, where they looked like they were pretty decent. I think they beat somebody significant in that game too. And I was kind of ooh, that guy has some,
Matt Flynn also had a 6 touchdown game once. So,
I mean, the one thing that does concern me is anytime you're playing a team and a quarterback that you can't get a lot of tape on, there's always room for them to surprise you.
Yeah,
for sure. But they've just been so bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're bad.
I'm trying to see if I can find the game you're talking about, because I remember that as well. Well, they held their own against the Patriots. They lost, but it was 25-22.
Was that the game
when
that
was
he
that?
played pretty well? There was one game where he put up nice looking numbers.
Yeah, the Patriots have turned it on, in the last 6
Page,
weeks.
I feel weird
I'm
in
saying this
it,
now.
but
I think the
kind of
Patriots are
like
going
what
to the Super Bowl.
Patriots are doing.
No, I don't want a Patriots Bucks Super Bowl. I don't want it.
We have evil Bill Belichick back. He found his power.
But everybody's going to be like, we want Patriots and Bucks in the Super Bowl because it'll be so good for ratings.
No,
and then they're
going
going
to. I don't need the Bucks, but
it's going to happen. It's
Bill
going to happen.
Bill Belichick cloned Tom Brady, and he
named him Mac Jones.
Yeah, and he named him Mac Jones.
What a dumb name too. He was like, this person will be named person.
Yeah,
and then his son was like, hey, I got this mullet and we should name it Mac Jones.
Am I the only one in this podcast that thinks it's weird that somebody by the name of Mac Jones is like this pasty white dude? Like it's just that the name does not fit the look.
Yeah, I love
your memory. I just have to say, Curtis's memory is one of the most amazing things to me. You are absolutely right. David Mills, 21 for 29, 312 yards, and 3 touchdowns against the New England Patriots.
Was that week 3?
He played well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the Patriots are playing much better now.
Week 5.
Week 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got something there. Hopefully it doesn't show up on Sunday. I don't think it will, because he played terrible, I think, after that game.
It
started to count.
And we do have that game to look at, which will be helpful as well to see how he can succeed and be prepared for that.
I'm predicting. I think DK Metcalf is going to have a game. He's going over 100 yards. He's going to have a couple touchdowns. I have to say, I wore my Action Green DK Metcalf jersey this Sunday. I bought this jersey at the beginning of the season. I haven't worn yet, so I wore it Sunday. I like to think I had something to do with this win. I'm just saying, Pete Carroll, if you're listening, I think I deserve the game ball. That's all I'm saying.
That is super stitious of you. Super stitious.
Dan, I spilled coffee on myself while I was watching the game, and I was so into the game, I decided to just let it dry on my shirt. So I'll do that again.
You have to.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Curtis, what were you eating?
What was I eating?
Yeah.
During the game?
Yeah.
What did I have? I think it was like smoked salmon or something like that. I'm Native American, so it's like smoked salmon. That's
yeah.
That's all you eat. Is that it? Is that what you're saying?
At halftime, if they're down, you gotta.
Oh, the pickled herring. Gotta have that fucking pickled herring shit.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that
right. Yeah, the pickled herring.
Smoked salmon and pickled herring. I'm like a fucking walrus.
Yeah, I've not seen a lot of references to the pickled herring this season.
Yeah, I know. Somebody told me like the mercury was bad in it and I shouldn't do it or something.
I just read about that actually. I stopped eating tuna fish because of it.
That's supposed to be the bottom feeders and the ocean.
That's my dorking out. I stopped eating tuna fish, everybody. That's not true. Moving on to dorking out. I just want to say one of my favorite TV shows that I watched during the 2020 pandemic, not the 2021 pandemic, was a show I had discovered on Hulu called Pen 15. I fell in love with this show, and they just released their second half of the second season, which is sadly the end of the show. And I'm super bummed about it. I love this show. If you don't know the conceit is that these two comedians, women, have written a show that's vaguely about themselves in middle school in the early 2000s, like 2000 or 2001. And they are playing themselves at 13 years old but all of the other kids in middle school are actual like 13-year-old actors.
Wow.
It's not as weird as it sounds.
It's
like in that regard.
Yes. So it sounds like it's going to be sort of maybe a ridiculous comedy, but it's not. It actually is very honest portrayal of these two girls in their coming of age and all of the insecurities and hormones and battles that they go through. One of the things that I actually really like about it that I don't see a lot in coming of age stories with kids these young is the fact that, you know, they got these hormones and they're growing up, and the longing to be grown up, right? Like the longing to get there, but like the fear of getting there. And so also regressing back into like being a child, and that seesaw battle that they just kind of go through, I think is such a human, such an honest portrayal. And it ends up, whether it was intentionally planned or not, it ends up kind of being the journey of the entire show. And I'm smitten with it. I think it's hilarious and so finely acted, not only from the adult actors, but the child actors as well. One of the Maya Erskine, who plays Maya in the show, her actual mother plays her mother in the show, who was not an actor previously, who is so good. She is such a good actor on this show. And in the second half of this second season, she gets her own point of view. She gets her own episode. And I just watched it and it's absolutely brilliant. I can't say enough. I go out and watch it if you're listening. I love the hell out of that show.
It's great.
Yeah. Alana, well, what are you dorking out about?
We clearly watch many of the same shows.
We know this.
Is Kendall Roy dead? But really,
is Kendall Roy dead?
Is he dead? I don't know. I think it's actually probably yes. But the real question, or the real thing that's on my mind right now, is that The Expanse starts again on Thursday. And I have we have like a lot of shows that we're watching right now. We're watching We're Here, which is like community love. Yes, so good. And then we're watching Pen 15. We're watching The Sex Lives of College Girls, which is really good and entertaining and worth a watch. And then I can't remember the other shows we're watching. I'm watching Wheel of Time, which has dramatically improved with each successive episode.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. But nothing right now can top my excitement for The Expanse. It is the best world building science fiction that I've seen. The
so
acting
smart.
is phenomenal. The dialogue is fantastic. There's a stretch that is like season 2 halfway point through season 3 halfway point that is among the best shows on TV.
Agreed.
Period. That the stories they're telling in that and the relationships that they find out of that.
The fact that they're willing to get weird.
Yes, absolutely.
Like they're willing to get weird sci-fi, which I love.
Yeah. And then it gets into it's coming up. This is the last season of The Expanse as well. And it's a 6-episode shortened season, which is unfortunate. But I have read everywhere that they pack every moment of this season with awesome. And that the only bad thing, quote unquote, bad thing about it is that because of the nature of it being a 6-episode season, some of the people who show back up, because that's part of what you do when you are ending a series, some of them feel a little tacked on. And it's like, but if we get this dude whose name I can't remember, who becomes really good friends with Amos, like if we get that dude coming back, I don't care, because that relationship. I love
that relationship, by the way.
It's so good. It's so like platonic, amazing.
Can I ask you a question, Alana, about this show? So I tried to watch it. I was season 1 was okay. I mean, I did like a lot of the world building for sure. Yeah. I started to, and then I stopped, and then I tried the next episode, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, and I pushed through to I think the 3rd episode. I was like, I can't remember what's going on. So it sounds like you're saying you get to like the middle of that season, and it just takes off.
So what happens is season 1 is like the first 2/3 of book 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then season 2 to the halfway point is the rest of book 1. And then season 2 at the halfway point through season 3 at the halfway point is book 2. And the storylines that are told in that book are, I mean, I'm going to spoil it just a hair for you if you're okay with that.
All right.
They kill Thomas Jane. He like, his character is not, I mean, he's in it for other reasons later on, but he's not important to the narrative at that point.
The detective guy?
He's the detective.
Yes.
They
Okay,
kill
that makes
him,
a lot
and
of
then
sense.
they're like, fuck this film noir shit that we're doing. We're a space opera.
Okay.
Right.
You know, and like, it was fine. It was fine that they were doing that, but then it becomes purely about the protomolecule, which you've learned a little bit about, and the Rossi, and how what they're doing in relation to this. And
that's when it starts to get kind of like sci-fi weird, and they start taking some cool risks with the story. It's also a show that demands your full attention.
Yeah. Don't watch it with a phone in hand.
Exactly.
That was part of the, I mean, when I watched season 1, it was something I was watching kind of right before I went to bed. So I turned it off because I realized I wasn't paying enough attention. So it's one of those shows. And I think I've realized that as well, that it isn't that kind of show, which, but I will, for the sake of you dorks who love it, I will try to push back into that one.
And I recommend it.
My heart for Kamina Drummer, like, and her Polyam Belter fam, like,
totally, yes.
You'll get to that, but it's, oh god, she's so fucking good.
She's so
and
good.
David Strathairn is on it for a chunk, and he's doing a Belter accent, and it's like, okay, sure. You're an amazing actor.
He shows up in a show or a movie, I know it's going to be good. He's like one of those great actors who just shows up randomly in a bunch of stuff. He's never been like the lead guy, but he always just shows up. And when he shows up, you know it's going to be good.
Right. He was the lead in Good Night and Good Luck, which is one of the best movies.
That's right. Yes.
But like, he showed up, he played a character that was supposed to die in the books after the first season. And he was like, I really like being here. Can I be in the next season? And they were like, sure, we love you. Anyway, The Expanse is excellent TV.
Love it. Curtis, what are you dorking out about?
What platform is that on?
Prime.
Amazon.
Prime. Okay. I just have to give another quick little shout out to Hawkeye on the Disney
That was a great
Plus.
third episode.
That third episode really hooked me in big time. I was enjoying the first two. The third one spoke to me in a lot more specific ways, and I'm super excited about it. I think out of the whole pantheon of the MCU television shows right now, this one's probably my fave.
The actress that they got to play Echo is
Alakwa Cox.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah,
I leapt out of my couch when I saw that prosthetic.
Right?
Like, I was just like, holy shit.
Did you know the girl who played
do with it?
Yeah. Huh? The girl who played her at a younger age is her cousin.
That does not shock me at all, because I mean you can see the familial traits and everything. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm excited about the spin-off Echo show when that comes about too.
Because I'm pretty sure what's his face's Daredevil is going to be on that.
Well, that's the rumor, and I hope,
you're right.
Well, and Feige was like, "We're bringing him back, into the MCU."
He's not just going to be Matt Murdock. Like, come on.
No, Daredevil. Yeah, he's going to be Matt Murdock as Daredevil.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've just really recently dived into is I finally started following the Get Back Beatles.
I need
format.
To watch that. Yeah.
Recording sessions of their last couple albums, and it's I've been a lifelong Beatles fan. It was One of the bands that my brothers would listen to, when I was a kid, that didn't scare the shit out of me, like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, and Uriah Heep, and all that sort of stuff. So I've always been a fan of the Fab Four. I thought I've known their history pretty well, but I want to say that I kind of fallen into the whole presumptions and assumptions about Paul and John and the whole Yoka thing and everything like that. And like this is just a really, this, you can call this thing that Peter Jackson has this sort of passion project of his as being a documentary about the Beatles, but it almost feels like the way in which he has reconstructed like just this hundreds of hours of footage, as it's kind of like a reality television show that we're watching now, that was filmed over 50 years
40 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, and it's just, and the way in which I think he's done things with heightening the color of the film stock and everything is just, there's just a lot of eye candy involved, on top of like when they're in these early sessions of these like iconic songs that they put forth in the late 60s, right before they broke up. It's just, there's just a lot to enjoy with that if you're a fan of the Fab Four.
I've heard, I plan on watching it. I know it's a commitment, which is why I haven't done it
It's
yet.
huge.
But
Yeah.
What I've heard, the thing that speaks to me about what I've heard is that a big focus of it is on their sort of like creative process.
Yes.
And
so, I'm only in the
like we take all of these songs for granted, and then you see Paul McCartney like trying to figure it out. Creative process on the fly. That fascinates me. Creative process fascinates me in all artists. I can speak for myself here, but I think I can speak for a lot of artists when I say that I'm always trying to figure out how I approach the creative process when I'm in it again, because it always seems just a little weird and magical. And there's a reason why, artists have been calling like things their muse and stuff like that. And I found this out again because I will be going into rehearsal for a show. And it's a question I ask myself every time I pick up a demanding role, which is like, how did I do that before? Like, how did I craft this character? How did I memorize these lines? Like, how did I come to these decisions? And the answer is always like, you try things out and it like some things suck and some things are good, and you just kind of end up piecing it like a puzzle. And I'm always just kind of fascinated by it. And I love seeing like great artists go through the same thing, because then it sort of like validates my own process.
My main recommendation for you, Daniel, is don't do what Jeremy Strong does.
Yeah, exactly.
He does this thing called, he doesn't want to call it method acting. It's identity diffusion, where he lives half of his life as Jeremy Strong and half of his life as Kendall Roy every year.
Fuck you.
Nobody can stand being around him.
Oh my God.
Millie.
What are you darking out on?
Oh, I'll keep it short. Sorry. It's late for those of you listening. It's late.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna keep this.
Yeah, it's about
here.
10 o'clock on a Tuesday.
And just say that I am really digging the new season of Discovery. I love what they've done with this franchise. Every year is a new experience, but these characters continue to grow, and they explore, as most great Star Trek series have, they explore ideas and identities and emotions in a very modern and progressive way. And it's so incredibly relatable. And that's always been the beauty of Star Trek to me. So really, really like Discovery. And I think every year I like it more.
I love that show, and I've only seen the first episode of this new season. But I have to say, this is the one thing I dig, and it's the one thing its critics hate about Discovery. And it's the fact that there is not one white, straight man on that ship. And like, I know that it gets a lot of hate for that, and I don't give a fuck. I love it about that. The only white men on that show is a gay man who's playing an alien and another gay man who is playing a gay man. So like, I love that. And I think Star Trek needs a lot more of that. Yeah, I dig that show. Anybody else? Do you watch it? Discovery? Curtis?
I don't have Paramount, so I'm gonna get Paramount.
All the Trekkies are gonna hate this when I say I'm a Star Wars guy. I don't do the Star Trek that much. I used to like Star Trek Next Generation. I love that show. I love Picard.
I think we're all more into Trek other than you, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
What's that?
Are you?
I love Star Trek and Star Wars equally.
Okay.
That's not true. I think I like Star Trek a little bit more.
I can leave Star Wars. There's one good Star Wars movie. I'm much more interested.
If there was a choice, if like a wizard came to me and he was like, one of these two franchises is going to be deleted out of history, and you have to make the choice, which one is it? I think I'm going to tell him Star Wars. I like Star Trek. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I love the Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, there's arguments for both. And even if you're not into the movies, what Star Wars did to the industry is something completely monumental. So
they destroyed science fiction with it.
No, they just copied and pasted Japanese film, and they didn't give any credit to it. That's
spaghetti westerns.
And spaghetti westerns, yeah. Like
George
Lucas, I'm saying George Lucas is a hack.
The industry itself and the creativity that was born out of things like Lucas Studios or whatever it's called, I can't think of it. All the things that came from it. So I wouldn't want to remove either one. It's hard, and it's hard for me. There's things I love about both. There's so much more to Star Trek, so that's probably what I would pick. Gun to my head, but I love them both.
Can I tell you,
the rebooted,
this is a great dorking. Like, we need to, one of these episodes, we need to go Star Trek versus Star Wars.
But there's only one thing on the Star Wars side, and that's Rogue One. Like every other Star Wars can suck it. Rogue One is the only good Star Wars
movies were great films.
Nah.
First two movies were great films. We're just gonna have to move beyond this one.
We really should take this.
We should just add Battlestar into that, and we'll just.
I was gonna say,
because I stand Battlestar.
I have opinions on Battlestar, but that'll go for another hour. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Hey, this was fun podcast. I had fun. I hope the listeners had fun. You should check out Curtis's blog, 12life.com. He always has really great insights into the Seahawks, and it's written well and it's funny. I like it a lot. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcast. We're there every Wednesday. You should click the follow. You should let your friends know that we're around if you like it. And my name is Daniel. For Alana, Curtis, Millie, the rest of the 12s, saying goodbye and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.